In a world of 2022, we need some solidarity. We need something calm. We don't need a one-night stand. We need a respectable, conscious adult in our lives that's gonna teach us that going out till midnight on a Tuesday is not a good idea. And while there's plenty of brands teaching us that Red Bull and vodkas are the way to go, what you really need sometimes is like a vodka Sprite and then a water so that you can stay alive. Now, someone that already did the 48-hour Las Vegas Rager and named their wheels things like the Wide Open, the Stampede, and the Heat Sink. Those are real wheel names. That is, with certain wheel companies like that are out there in the world that people like you and people like me do like but have no idea how long they've actually been around. I'm Alex at FI on Instagram, and today we're going to be talking about one of the OG wheel companies when it comes to the tuner world of cars here in the United States of America. We're talking about the company that has been making wheels for cars that have been around for quite a hot minute. They were like hot, they were good looking, then they were like kind of sort of not good looking, then they were on Hot Wheels, then they were on Pontiac Aztecs, and then they were hot again because of new wheels. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the real truth about Konig Wheels. Hey yo, way bud, before y'all get jived up on some Mountain Dew, go to the link below, let us know which Konig wheel is your favorite or what you're most excited about in 2022 in relation to cars. Let's keep it PG-13 in the comments section below, along with your Instagram handle if you have one. We'll select a random comment to win a free Fundamentals hoodie and a decal. And congratulations to Matthew William. You won this week's t-shirt, I think, and a decal. If I got that wrong, well, sue me, okay? But we'll send you something for free for commenting. Thank you so much. And we'll shoot you a DM on YouTube so you can get your stuff. Konig has been around for quite a while, 1982 in fact, and they started this whole operation in New York City. P.S. They still actually have an office in New York City. Now, if you've ever seen a tuner car from 1982 to now, it probably at one point in its life or another had Konig wheels on it. Now, Konig has been a household name for like the last 40 years because it was like one of the few domestic wheel brands that was founded in the 80s that specifically targeted the growth of certain markets in the domestic US. Now, Konig, or Konig, is, if you're looking at this from like the German standpoint, has been the brand that's been about every single type of size, color, design, and finish of aftermarket wheels in its existence. Also, they named it because they were importing German seats. Now, mostly because it was specifically made for tuner and muscle cars in the 80s because of the explosion of the automotive aftermarket market. I'm serious about the seat thing. That's actually a real thing. I mean, fun fact, Konig's name was the result of them being the first US exclusive importer of Konig racing seats out of Germany. Take that home with you. Do something with it. Put it on a Facebook status, okay? That is why the company started out doing business as Konig USA. Now, soon after, Konig actually started developing wheels and realized that essentially what they wanted to do was put their heart and soul into that. So, the rest is essentially history. Now, Konig was born into this beautiful world in the 80s through an idea from Panmar Corporation, who had spent the last decade or so spending time importing and exporting car parts around the world. And you'd have to like remember, back in the day, there really wasn't a whole lot out there, specifically in the 70s and early 80s. There wasn't anything out there for wheel brands. I mean, domestically, you essentially had Western, Centerline, and American Racing, maybe Krager, a few others. Or on the European side, you pretty much only had Momo and like BBS. And in Japan, you pretty much just had Work, and they weren't really doing a whole lot of import-export at the time. The market was booming, and it wasn't really booming without a whole lot of international support. And Panmar, that's the Panama Canal, all right, we're like, that's some free real estate. Like, that's something we could do, you know, and we could... Konig would go on to import wheels and continue to import other popular tuning parts under the brand through the 80s and into the 90s. The import tuning segment was starting to grow, and so was Konig's popularity with the cool kids. Now, another fun fact, some of their first big wheel hits were wheels called like the Konig Villain, the Toxin, the Tantrum, and the Verdict. The rest, though, especially the first wheels to come from Konig, were a little aggressive. They were a little out there, and they're maybe not what you would expect to come from the likes of Konig, like the Blix 1. It's behind me, isn't it? And there were other wheels that came out with it, like the Daylight, the Further 6, and the Hold On. That's a real name. Say what you want, but if you've been around for 4 decades, you've probably gone through some trends and phases too. You probably had a little bit of weird stuff going on in high school. I mean, take a look at your high school photos and tell me it's not a little cringe that your head was always weighing to one side for the perfectly coiffed hair. It's not a phase, Mom. Dear Maria! Now, as Konig began to grow, it really managed to find a healthy way into the market by providing wheels that didn't cost an arm and a leg. And that's something people know Konig for nowadays, and that's something they've always been really good about. Now, BBS, Work, Krager, American Racing, they were all a little bit pricey, and Konig was able to come in and make some creative wheels with some good, like, glitter that people were excited about, okay? They had a wheel literally called, okay, the Tweaked. I love Konig, but the names, the nomenclature that they use is absolutely hilarious, because it's like I'm watching Transformers on FX and I missed the movie, okay? Now, while most individuals understand that Konig has been around for quite a long time, they probably don't really understand that they've been around for a really long time. They've even popped into some of your favorite Fast and the Furious movies at one point. Jesse's Jetta from Fast and the Furious, it was on Konig. The S chassis that you'd see in Fast and Furious 3 Tokyo Drift, they were on Konig wheels. Hell, they even had their own comic book, had Konig wheels on them. There was Hot Wheels with Konig wheels on them. The name Konig was awesome, but they really didn't start to hit the next generation of enthusiast support really up and into the 2010s or so with their introduction into the YHI International umbrella. Now, YHI has been around for a while, and probably one of the reasons that sometimes people get confused between Konig and the relationship that's formed with that with other brands like OZ and Enki. YHI has the Enki wheel line within its brand portfolio, along with other names like Brayton and Sparco. Now, YHI is essentially, and this is the simplified way, YHI is a licensed manufacturer of alloy wheels for Japan's Enkei Corporation. Now, this was from 2006, so much of this may have changed. But at that time, YHI was making Enkei's tuning brand of alloy wheels, and YHI has been an authorized distributor of Enkei since 1975. But why do you really need to know that? The reason you need to know that is because Konig carries some of the similarities in their technology on some of their initial wheels, some of their craftsmanship and focus like Enki does, except they're not Enki. Konig and YHI's international joint venture, where YHI took 51% of Panmar/Konig, is essentially where this whole thing started to happen. And Panmar kept 49% for a few years until it ultimately sold the rest, but that's where you had to see this resurgence of the badass Konig wheels. So when Konig got married to YHI, and YHI wanted 20% annual growth because they wanted it, a lot of people were invested into the brand. The next 15 years is where you really start to saw Konig start to explode. Now, sure, they have their mainline wheels, which are right, but really where people like you and people like me truly know and love Konig is for their flow-formed wheels. And in 2009, Konig released 2 flow-formed wheels utilizing matte technology, which was licensed by Enki. A few years later, Konig and YHI would develop their own proprietary flow-forming process and now offers a fairly massive offering of flow-formed wheels. That is only Konig's. That's why they're similar in the past, but not anymore. Now, the ultralight, sharp spoke, nice lipped wheels seem to be like perfect for damn near any application that has a slightly sporty look. Literally look at any of the wheels that have a math name and you know exactly what I'm talking about. The flow forming keeps them light, keeps them strong, is good for a multitude of applications, and the designs align with like a billion different car platforms. But let's be real, it's pretty much just like Miatas and Ford Focuses, but we won't jump. And while Konig was still doing their marketing jazz with things like Super Street Magazine, RIP, and NASA Racing, since the mid-90s, the next generation wasn't as aware of all the noise Konig had been making prior to the Flowform lineup. Now, a lot of people are wondering, are Konig wheels real or rep? And the answer is most of them these days are authentic design wheels that are made in Thailand or Taiwan. If that's not enough, there's very few people that I would argue that have ever ran Konigs that would tell you that they weren't a good wheel. Konigs are properly good wheels. They have a massive factory backing them, and they are great wheels. Now, they're a strong price with solid designs, and they're like focused to function, makes them a great pickup if you're building a track racer or you just want your daily driver to kind of sort of look like one, because sometimes we want to look like we do things that we don't actually do. That's why a lot of times you buy a lot of Under Armour and you never go to the gym. Even though YHI acquired the remaining 49% of Konig in 2011, they've always allowed Konig to operate on their own. With the additional resources at their disposal, Konig was able to really grab another gear, which helped them push further into flow forming technology. Almost all of the original employees and even current employees are enthusiasts. They like cars. You can talk to them pretty much anywhere, and they're just gearheads. Now, they're still heavily involved in grassroots racing and drifting, and a lot of their wheels, designs, sizes, and weights are all taken from their racing teams and community's feedback, not just some random person overseas. And they are really, literally all over the place. They were like one of the first wheels in Formula. They were one of the first wheels in drifting in the United States in the early 2000s. I mean, they've been everywhere, guys. So should you pick up Konig wheels? That's a good question. You should pick up Konig wheels if you want something that's affordable, that pairs well with aggressive styled cars like sport compacts and hot hatches, and you're comfortable with standard sizes that apply to about 90% of the normal cars out there. Now, Konig doesn't do multi-piece stuff anymore. They don't do fully forged stuff anymore. And they don't have 1,000 crazy colors anymore. They used to. But their finishes are solid, and their designs have stayed up to date for a hot minute. And as a brand, Konig has been around for a long time. They've been with SEMA for almost 4 decades. They've helped countless automotive companies make their platforms not look like hot garbage, like things like the Honda and Nissan and Hyundai and all of those things. They've been helping them with various wheel options and helped them spearhead the marketing and industry that is the automotive stuff in the United States that you know and love to this date. And within all that, I'd be pretty hard pressed to find another set of wheels at $1,200 or less outside of a couple other brands that are in stock and ready to ship and are actually halfway freaking decent. They're good. But what do you think about Konig Wheels? Let us know below. And of course, if you're on the fence and you want to take a look at Konig Wheels, be sure to check them out over at fitmentindustries.com. You can get your wheels and tires packaged together, shipped to your door in as quick as 7 days. I know it sounds super like salesy, but you don't have any idea how hard it is to get something like a wheel and tire package to somebody's door that lives in Nebraska in 7 days, okay? Also, just so you know, go check out Konig. They also have a badass YouTube channel where they talk history, cars, and wheels with available content for use. We'll drop a link below so you can support them if that's something you want to do. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, and we will see you later. Peace.